Jake loves Kira. Bareil loves Dax. Dax loves Sisko. Quark loves Keiko. Kira and Bashir love each other. And Luoxana wants Odo to melt in her lap. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
Today we are, oh, by the way, my name is Ryan T. Husk. We are doing a review of Deep Space Nine's Season 3, Episode 10, Fascination, directed by
Avery Brooks.
Avery Brooks. And I kept thinking about that while I was watching. He must have had a blast doing it. Written by Philip Lezebnik. Did you ever meet Philip Lezebnik? I don't remember his name popping up.
No, this is the first I've even heard his name, actually. So I don't know what his history with our show is, but first I heard his name.
All right. And very quickly, this is sponsored by Virtual Trek Con. Check this out. It'll be coming out in just a couple weeks. A big, huge 6-day virtual event that is free to everybody, full of Star Trek, and full of more Star Trek. Also, want to give a quick shout out to Abyssinian Kiosk. Check this out. It's Cirroc Lofton's sister.
Nice.
Makes these awesome designs. Check it out at abyssiniankiosk.com. We'll include that in the description box below so you can check it out. Two more very quick shout outs. Bill Erickson in Montana sending us some awesome chocolate coins.
Thank you, Bill.
Really appreciate it. Really cool. He also had to send them out twice because for some reason the first time it was sent back. So really appreciate it, Bill.
Yeah,
love that, dude. And lastly, a very big shout out to Melissa Longo. You guys see her here and there every once in a while, but what you don't see is sometimes when we are running into a scheduling issue or when we need something, we call Melissa. And whether she ends up in front of the screen or not, she's always the person that we call first, and she always says yes to everything, and she is always there for us in case we need her. So we want to give a big thank you and shout out to her for always being there for us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melissa.
All right. Now, let's talk about this fun episode. And how are you, by the way, Cirroc?
Doing good. I'm all right.
Nice.
This was a enjoyable episode. It was kind of fun to... It's a little excursion from all the heavy stuff that we've been lifting in this season, you know?
Totally different mood.
Yeah. It's just like a little vacation away from... And it's very playful. So it was great because I like the fact that they used every character and that we really got to see how DS9 is a family on that station, right? Everybody was kind of intermingled with each other. And I thought that was a really good thing.
You know, I don't know. Usually when I would watch episodes like this, I would say, this is not a good episode, or this isn't one of my favorites, or whatever, you know, like on the first watch for me, a lot of times I'm like, and I barely remember this. There's so many episodes in the first 3 seasons that I just don't remember because I watched them once and kind of poo-pooed them away. But now that I've seen them all and I love the characters and I've really enjoyed the lore and the mythology of the whole story and the whole series, going back with fresh eyes and seeing these episodes that I don't remember at all or barely remember, I actually like them a lot more because it just adds more depth. It gives a little bit more fun, especially because the next 2 episodes are going to be past tense, which is a little, more serious. But I enjoyed the fun aspect of it. I really enjoyed picturing Avery saying, okay, we need firewalkers here, and we need acrobats over there. And Cirroc, I want you to be running, zipping over, and I want to grab you. I mean, I just really, and I was wondering if you have any memories of him as a director, whether it's on this episode or in other episodes, of just when he was doing something fun, less than a serious episode, but one of the ones where he was just out having fun. Would his eyes just get really big and, or did he take that also very seriously?
That's the thing so my recollection is that the episodes that Avery directed were fun. And So now going back, every time that I can think of, for example, last time we saw was where I got my first girlfriend, right? And I was
Yeah.
explaining to him that I want to date a Dabo girl. That was an episode that he directed.
Right.
And I remember the fun behind it. And now I'm watching this episode, party scene at his quarters and a lot of action and movement. Another episode that he directed, another episode that has the moniker of fun attached to it, in my opinion. And then the thing that stands out the most, obviously, was Far Beyond the Stars, which he directed, which also had an energy level and excitement, even though we were dealing with really serious content. It still had a fun atmosphere with the people dressed up in costume and all the old cars on the back lot. We had all the departments on hand, on deck at the on set to just kind of see how their creations manifested into this, production. So one thing that I know about Avery is that he is a very good director for actors.
Right.
He knows how to get what he wants out of the actor. He knows what the actor, what the scene's about and what he's looking for, and what to say to actors in order to elicit the response that he's looking for. So that to me is one of the things that makes a great director, able to communicate well and get the performances that he wants out of you.
As an actor, I always found that the directors I enjoyed working with the most were the ones that knew how to communicate with actors. And not just because, actors are known to possibly be a little fragile sometimes, where you don't want to hurt their ego. I do think actors get a bad rap for that. I don't think most actors are like that at all. I think that actors are just very sensitive about the final product. They're not so concerned with having their feelings hurt about a bad, performance. They care about what the final product is going to look like on the screen, And
Right.
So if a director is telling you, to do something differently, if an actor doesn't take it well, it's because they're just thinking this will look best on the screen. And that's why when a director communicates well with them, they get it. And they go, oh, that's going to look better. That's going to reflect better on me. That's going to look better on you. It's going to have a better product. The fans are going to be happy. And that's why, and we also love a director that knows how to talk to us because they're helping us to be better. And so when you say, a director that knows how to talk with actors, it's invaluable. We want to work with those directors over and over again, right?
Absolutely. And there's other things that are so minute that you have such a big impact. And, we talk about sensitivity of actors, but sometimes it's actually called for. And let me give you an example. You get a guest director in that doesn't know the cast, doesn't know anybody on the show, so doesn't know the characters and the history leading up into the moment. So if they come on the set and don't know how to talk to different people according to the language that they understand, we all have like a little bit of subtle nuances of ways in which we are offended or communicate. So I, for example, can recall a director coming on the set and asking me to do something, but referring to me as you. Can you, hey, you, so those are the kinds of things you're like, you're calling me you, I have a name, you refer to me as my character name or my real name, but something other than just
or just put your hand on their shoulder and say, hey, what's your name again? Sorry. Okay. Cirroc. Yeah. Can you do, treat me like a human, right?
Exactly. And so those kinds of things could really set an actor off in a bad space, therefore altering the performance. And that's where Avery has a delicacy in the way he approaches people, because he knows how to tailor make it for the person that he's talking to, right?
Right.
And I just think there's so many examples of how it worked. His directing skills were infused into this episode, and I kind of wrote a few of them down, but off the top of my head, one of the things I remember was Kira kind of in the area, and Bareil walks in and he's looking for Dax, and they're by that flame, and she wants to kiss, and he says, no, there's people around, they might see us, right?
And there were people in the background, by the way. I went and rewound that. I was like, she's like, there's nobody here. Well, except for those two back there.
Except for the two people that just walked away. So so that was funny to me. But the thing that I noticed about the camera work was, so we originally see her standing there by the fire, and then he joins her into a 2-shot. They walk forward to avoid the two people, or to be in a more private setting. And as they walk forward, they move off into the corner to, I think Kira kind of throws him into the corner to like push him up on the corner and make out with him, right? And that pushing up on the corner took us from a wide shot in the hallway into a narrow close-up shot in which you feel the intensity of two people in a enclosed space. And it's very subtle, but it makes you feel the intensity of the awkwardness of somebody pressing up on you.
He did that another time, Avery did, for a different reason, which was when you were walking around and he says, hey, slow down. You could tell that he wanted the shot of the two of you like this. And he's thinking, how do I get him here, this like to the two of you like this? And so he says, hey, slow down. And he grabs your arm and he spins you around. And like, that works. A dad could do that. Dad would pull you around, get in close, be like, what are you doing? And so that was an interesting thing, similar.
Absolutely.
And
second note I had a note of exactly what you just pointed out. I wrote down in my notes as his directing style, as the way he wanted to manipulate that shot and get me from inside Quarks to around that little area where he was. But yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's exactly what directors do. It's like they know that they want you at point B, but they're like, how do I get there? Like, what's that? Like when actors say, what's my motivation? They mean, what's my motivation to lead me to this point of emotion or of what I'm saying? And directors are saying, what's the motivation to create this kind of shot? How do I, whether it's walking over and pouring a glass of water, or whether it's, grabbing somebody. I did want to touch really quickly upon the respect for actors, and that's great that Avery showed it. I did have a director one time where I was just like, okay, I'm never working for this dude again. And it was, I won't say his name, obviously. It was a him or a her. It was a him. And it was a sci-fi movie, and I'm doing these things, and it's kind of in the middle of the movie, and I get shot, and I go onto the ground. There's like a battle on the bridge, and he's changing he's going to shoot the next scene from a different angle, right? And I'm still on the floor, and not only does he not, I guess to change the angle, he wanted to kind of move a couple of the things a bit. And not only does he not say my name, he doesn't say anything to get me to move. Do you know what he does? He kicks me. He like pushed my body with his foot. I'm lying on the floor, shot, after doing a stunt. And with his foot, he just kind of goes and push. And I swear, I like looked at him like, it was, more, it was more like shock. Like, did you just,
yeah.
Are you pushing me with your foot like I'm a sandbag? And I was like, okay, this guy this guy does not know how to treat I was just like, I was more amused than insulted. I was just like, this guy I was just taking him anyway. So
yeah, but that's another example of how a director can really muck things up, right? and just take something where I would have been happy to do anything you asked me to do, as far as if you could have communicated it to me in a proper way, and we would have had a good understanding, and I would have rolled over in the way you wanted me to, or moved over. But the simple fact that you're not communicating, that's where the problem is. And sometimes, especially on a series, when you have a director coming in mid-series, the actors feel like they know that role better than the guy who just came in for one episode, right? So when the director's like, I think you should do it like this and this and this and this, sometimes you're looking at him like, no.
But then it's also that tough juggling act from an actor's point of view where you also need to have tact. You don't want to insult the poor person on their first day of work. They're asked to do something difficult, which is tell all these people what to do that have been doing this for 4 years. And so you have to have that kind of mentality when you're talking to them, say, that's really cool. And I get it. And I understand. I just want to let you know that this character has done this, this, and this, and this. So I'm not sure, let them know,
And there's all types of middle ground to reach when you do that. So if I'm in this position where I disagree with the director's interpretation of the scene or interpretation of the way I should do the scene, then there is a middle ground. There are several ways to get to it, but one of them is to say, okay, well, let's try one way your way, and let's get one way my way.
That's what directors say just to get an actor to shut up. They're like, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it your way once. And then they do that. And then they just like, they're probably not even recording. They're like, yeah. We'll do it that way next.
Yeah, exactly. Print that, but put an asterisk by it.
Yeah. Strike through.
So there's different ways, but definitely, I mean, just in general, you don't want the days to be long. We all have this work to do, and we're piled on with pages of work to do. And some of these things can be very tedious, especially when you have a large group of people to choreograph, 10, 12, 15 actors in a room. Everybody has to have some kind of motion, and the camera and the timing all have to be right. And the last thing any one of us want to do is be there more than we have to be there, right? Everybody wants to go home.
Right.
So we're all there to get the same thing accomplished. So you're right as far as when actors, need to give a little bit of leniency and obviously not be holding up production. So there is ground there. There's places where you can meet in the middle. But with Avery in particular, he is so understanding of these variables, and he's so conscious of them that he is able to just really get right to the meat of it. Take to have a little few words, conversation wise, and then he electrifies you. Like he makes you feel excited. Like and makes you feel like gets you involved and gets you hyped up to want to go out and do it a different way or better.
Right. Excitement's contagious.
Yeah. It's that it's that motivation. It's that coach pep talk that gets you amped up before the game. So I remember that about Avery's episodes are traditionally a lot more fun to be on the set.
Right. I kept picturing him with wide eyes, just kind of saying, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. One real quick, I did want to also mention that Nam, our Nam of the day was Marta. I don't know if she'll ever get another Nam, but she does get a non-appearance mention. I think that's probably going to be her only non-appearance mention forever. Actually, she did get one in the previous episode when O'Brien was like 16 and dating a Davo girl. Godspeed, young man. So that's 2 Nams for her, and maybe her only 2. I also thought it was funny that Chief O'Brien had 5 cups of coffee in 20 minutes. Did you hear that line? But she was that's your 5th cup of coffee in 20 minutes. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I heard that line. This gratitude festival that they're all getting ready for, it sounded a lot like Thanksgiving to me, like the Bajoran Thanksgiving.
Sure.
And, so actually I thought that was a little funny twist that they put on it.
I also want to, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also wanted to mention before we get too deep into the gratitude festival, that the thing that kind of led into it was Jake Sisko's dad, Benjamin Sisko. His line, he says, "Jake, you're 16. Take my word for it. You'll be fine. Maybe you'll meet someone at the festival tonight." And I was like, I feel like that's the rudest his dad has ever been. He's like, it's like what parents always say, "Oh, I'm in love." And they're like, "You'll be fine. Who cares that you're the girlfriend that you loved is gone forever? We go meet someone else."
Get over it.
Whatever.
You're 16.
Whatever.
But I mean, mean, it was a little insensitive, but obviously, Sisko was against that from day one. So he's deep down inside, he's clapping and doing jumping jacks.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny because he says to his dad, "Give the earring to Kira for her birthday." It's like, yeah, get rid of this thing, get it out of my sight, give it to somebody. I don't care what you do with it. But all of us have had that experience growing up, that first crush or first love and getting your heart broken. So I mean, it's a normal thing. So I mean, his dad is stating something that's true, is just a little bit insensitive about how hurt Jake is and how his feelings are.
Right. I've also noticed that these episodes tend to have the most interesting pieces of information in the first 5 minutes, because when they're setting up the story, they're like, oh, the Antiquans always do this, and oh, this guy drinks 5 cups of coffee, as they're setting up the story. And another one was that Chief and Bashir played 70 games of racquetball while Keiko and Molly were gone, and Bashir says, that tells me I'm a poor substitute for your wife.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then Chief O'Brien says, I could have told you that 60 games ago.
The other thing we got on the first 5 minutes was Odo liking Kira and again expressing how he has feelings for Kira, kind of gloating over her. And then when he finds out that Barial's coming in town, he kind of went, limp.
Right.
But
hey, 1 second. We're going to take our quick break. We'll finish that thought on the other side of that.
Okay.
And we'll be right back on The Seventh Rule.